Hello there friends, and today we are discussing crazy MMA stories. Now I was actually a professional MMA referee for many years, and I did some of the big shows in the UK. And one day I actually got asked to do a new show, new people, and I knew one of the guys that was sort of co-running this show, and someone else I didn't know turned out to be a little bit of a gangster, it turns out, in the Essex area. And they were putting on their first show, had some big fighters on it, and I agreed to referee the show. So anyway, I've gone down to Essex to sort this show out and do all my bits and bobs. And as I sort of always do, I always walk around the cage before the fights come in just to make sure the cage is all right. And then I realised there was a massive hole in the middle of this cage. And at this point, the fighters are already coming out, their music's going, and they're about walking out for their fight. So not ideal and extremely bloody dangerous. So I've called over the guy running the show. I said, look, you know, there's a massive hole in the middle of the cage. My foot's nearly gone through the cage floor. And he's like, oh, just try and keep him away from that bit. I was like, mate, I can't keep him away from the middle of the cage. Doesn't matter where it is, but like, no, it's like dangerous. If anyone like gets taken down there, the whole bloody thing's gonna like collapse. He goes, well, they're coming out now, we're gonna have to just do it. And I'm like, mate, no. It's like, someone's gonna like break their leg, like going through there, or the whole thing's gonna collapse. I said, you can't do it. And now at this point, both fighters, bless them, one's waiting by the cage door, the other one's being called out, and the music's going, they're all coming out. Everyone's in this massive club, looking and cheering and whatever, and you know, everyone's getting called over. Then the guys put the cage up, little Irish fella, he's sort of scratching his head, and yeah, it must have been 30 minutes. They're both standing there looking at each other, all the music stopped, everyone's like thinking what the hell's going on, and it was an absolute nightmare, to be honest with you. I felt very sorry for the two fighters waiting there, because it's the waiting is the worst bit. So what ended up happening was, this little Irish fella that put the cage up ended up putting a plank of wood underneath the cage and then holding the cage up and the floor underneath it for the whole fight. And one of my friends, Dave Lee, who had a few of his fighters fighting on the same show, was like, Roy, what the hell's going on? I said, oh mate, there's a little Irish fella underneath the cage, and he's holding the cage up with a plank of wood. I'm a bit worried it's gonna all fall through. And he's like, oh my God, he's like, you can't be just telling the truth. I said, I was. So sure enough, he looks under there, the little Irish fella's there, holding up the cage with plank of wood, and he gives us the thumbs up. And then the first fight continues. But unfortunately, the drama didn't stop there. As this first fight's going on, and bless them, they've been standing there for half hour, and they've having a hell of a ding dong. It's really back and forth, high tempo fight, meant to be a 5-minute round. Anyway, I'm going along. You can lose, time distorts when everyone's shouting, screaming. You're fully focused on, you know, protecting the fighters, making sure they're not getting hurt, lots of mischief getting thrown up. I'm thinking, this is longer than 5 minutes. I sort of look over to the people that are judging the fight. I sort of like looked over like, time, and everyone just sort of looked at each other with a blank stare. And I was like, is anyone timing the fight? And there was no one's timing the fight. So I end up just calling time on the fight. God knows how long they've been fighting for, but it's definitely longer than 5 minutes. And then I've gone over there. I said, look, someone's got to time this. I can't time it and referee it at the same time. And you know, they're all sort of getting out their watches and, oh, okay. I said, have you got like a clacker or, you know, a horn? Because obviously it's a club. Everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs. No one had nothing. So then I just had to listen out from one of the judges calling out, time! And, you know, which is very hard to hear when you're hearing screams everywhere. And that was just the beginning of that show. And yeah, it was an absolute nightmare, absolute circus. The guy definitely didn't quite realise all the moving parts to running, you know, a well-run MMA show. It was, yeah, a challenge to say the least, but a funny one in parts looking back now. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to sort of do that show too many times more, and yeah, they eventually stopped running, which was no great surprise, I suppose. So some of the challenges of being a pro MMA referee right there. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe and comment.